Welcome to rSlash Relationships, where another couple wants to steal OP's wife. Today's episode is sponsored by ExpressVPN. I've been traveling recently. I spent a week in Japan, and I'm currently talking to you from China. When you travel a lot, you realize how important a VPN really is. A VPN can protect your security while you're abroad and using dubious Wi-Fi networks. They can also help you dodge local firewalls that might prevent you from accessing your favorite website. As you can imagine, visiting a country that bans YouTube when you're a professional YouTuber is a pretty serious problem. ExpressVPN gives you the security and flexibility you need in 2025. Another problem I've been running into a lot lately with traveling is that shows I used to watch back home in the States aren't always available abroad. But with ExpressVPN, I can change my location to the US and continue watching. Like, did you know that Crunchyroll is banned in Japan? I didn't know that until I went there. Find out how you can get up to 4 months free by clicking the link in the description box below or going to expressvpn.com/rslash. Our next Reddit post is from Heavy Illustrator. I'm a 37-year-old guy and my wife is 35. She had a threesome with her best friend and husband years ago, and they want to do it again. Now, I don't want them around us anymore. I've known this for a long time, but when my wife was younger, she had a few threesomes with her best friend and her husband, then boyfriend. This was years before we even met, and she told me early in our relationship just so there would be no secrets. I've never had a problem with my wife being around her best friend alone, since the threesome didn't involve much girl on girl, but more of sharing her boyfriend. And for that reason, I've had trouble throughout our marriage being around both of them. I just have trouble having a normal conversation knowing that this guy has banged my wife. My wife doesn't think anything of it and is completely comfortable. It's just something she did for a little while, then stopped because she wasn't into it anymore once the taboo thrill wore off. She can even talk about it with them as casually as she talks about a concert they went to. However, she doesn't do this when I'm around because she knows that it makes me uncomfortable. Anyway, we were all together last weekend and her friend got a little drunk and brought it up. My wife quickly shut her down, but the impression I got was that there had been a lengthier conversation leading up to this that I didn't know about. Later on, my wife told me that her friend and her husband asked if she and I were interested in doing something. They were down with whatever we were comfortable with. But my wife admitted that they really wanted her again, but with me watching. My wife knows there's no way in hell that I would be down for that, and neither would she. My wife stopped doing that with them for a reason, and that's before she got married and had kids. My wife has told me to just forget they said anything, but how can I do that now? I swallowed being around them when these incidents were well in the past, but now they're openly lusting for my wife. I don't know if I feel comfortable with her or me being around them. Am I wrong here? How do I navigate this? I don't want to tell my wife to break off our friendship, but something I feel needs to be done. Down in the comments, people are pointing out that in the world of swinging, this is called wife poaching and it's considered bad. So even if swingers think this is a big deal, then for a monogamous person like OP, this is definitely deal breaker territory. This seems like a choose me or them scenario with no ambiguity. Our next Reddit post is from Objective Peak. I'm a 33-year-old woman and my boyfriend is 34, and we've been together for over 12 years now. I first met him in high school and we were friends for a few years. We lost touch after he graduated, but ended up reconnecting when I was in college. We've been together since. About 7 years ago, we were at a crossroads. His friend had passed away suddenly in an accident, and he proceeded to spiral. He started trying drugs, staying out all night, engaging in very reckless behavior, and it truly scared me. I tried everything to pull him out of it. It took a lot of work and me almost leaving him for him to start putting his life back together. So, a little backstory. I work for my family's business. I've worked for the family business since I was 18 years old, and honestly, it would be great if I didn't have to work with the same people that I see on holidays. My family can be, in a word, toxic. There's a lot of infighting and drama. Working with them is similar to our personal lives, stressful and chaotic. When my grandmother passed away about 3 years ago, I was willed some liquid assets that had belonged to her and my grandfather. gems, jewelry, precious metals, cash, etc. And their house they had since the 60s. And honestly, this was a blessing. With that inheritance, I finally felt like I could pull free from my family and get out of the family business and take some time to go back to school and do something I was passionate about. However, I had no savings at the time and wanted to get a decent amount saved before I quit. At this time, an opportunity opened up at work. The pay was way higher, but required 4 to 7 months of travel time a year. I talked it over with my boyfriend, and we decided that we only needed 2 years to save up for what we needed. I took the job and prepared to leave for 2 months for training at the main branch. About a month into my training, my boyfriend suddenly quit his job with no explanation other than, "I had to, I can't work there anymore." I was concerned about our financial goals because of this, but he swore up and down that he would get a new job shortly and that he wouldn't need any help with his personal bills. Well, a year went by and he had only taken up gig work and temp jobs. I wasn't happy as I was having to travel all this time and was having to be really frugal in order to get all of our joint bills paid while also putting money into savings. He was managing to pay his own bills, so I let it slide since he tossed in what he could to the joint pile as well. Now I am sitting here, about to complete my 2 years, and my boyfriend has decided to come clean to me. For the past 2 years, while I've been working a job that's been soul-crushing and has had me away from home for weeks to months at a time, I've missed birthdays, weddings, friends' baby showers, etc. I have sacrificed the last 2 years of my life to make enough to be able to live my life the way I want to. And he tells me last week that he's been paying his personal bills by selling the things my grandparents had willed me, which I had left in a safe that was hidden in the house. A safe that he only had access to because the hunting rifle is in there. And I thought that he would never do that to me. Honestly, I'm in shock. It was a substantial amount, and it makes me nauseous to even try to quantify it right now. I've already set in motion quitting my job and have given notice. And now I have so much less than I thought I did. He only told me because he figured a way to pay me back and had gotten a stable job, and was planning on using most of his paycheck to pay me back until I was made whole. But this just honestly disgusts me. I feel so violated. More than that, I wonder if this is his go-to pattern now. Life is stressful, a lot of change is happening, and he just self-destructs. After what he put me through for 7 years, I don't know if I could look past this. Yeah, he came clean to me, but I just can't seem to get past this feeling. I look at him and just feel nothing right now. It's breaking my heart because I really care for him, and yet I just can't see anything changing. I feel so conflicted. We've been together so long and even have all the same friends and share a life together. Will we be able to come back from this? Or is this what falling out of love feels like? OP, it sounds like you've spent the last 7 years trying to make his life better, and at the first opportunity, he basically ruins your life. You're not really dating him anymore. You're just dating a sunk cost fallacy. My 41-year-old boyfriend has an expensive hobby, so we have to live very frugally, and it's starting to bother me. I'm a 39-year-old woman, and I'm not sure what to do. My boyfriend and I have been together for about a year. He's a caring and considerate partner. However, he lives very frugally to be able to afford his expensive hobby. He loves to sail, and between the cost of financing his boat, which he purchased before we met, fuel costs, insurance, marina fees, maintenance, etc., I would estimate that it creates around $3,000 each month in expenses. This comes out of his disposable income, so he's not asking me to pay for any of it, but it's also not an interest I share. I don't particularly like being on boats. I think sailing really gives him a lot of peace and a sense of pride. We mostly split expenses, and I don't have a particularly expensive lifestyle. I don't have a huge desire to visit fancy restaurants, and I'm happy taking a weekend road trip instead of some big international trip. And so for a while, it didn't bother me that he spends so much on his hobby. He's also very conscientious about saving, so he saves a large portion of his income as well, and I support him wanting to build his savings. However, we don't currently live together, partially because of how frugally he chooses to live in order to be able to afford this hobby. He has a tiny condo and no car, though I do have a car. He eats very simply. If we were to move in together, we'd need to move into a smaller apartment than I would prefer. We live in an expensive city. Or move somewhere else, or he would need to save less. If it were up to me, we would spend more on activities, splurge from time to time, and get a decent-sized apartment. However, he's not really on board with those expenses, except on a holiday. We still go out to do stuff, but obviously he prefers inexpensive and free local events, which I also enjoy, but it would be nice to do other stuff too. If I want to go to a pricey concert or to the theater or to a day spa or whatever, I'll generally end up doing that stuff with friends. He's someone who is willing to compromise on things, but I don't even know what to ask him for. Sell his boat? He had it before we met. Stop saving? That sounds like I'm asking him to be irresponsible. I could offer to pay for more stuff, but I think that would create a very bad relationship imbalance, especially when he makes more than I do. Honestly, I'm not sure what to do. I feel like a jerk asking him to give up his hobby, or like I was being immature, telling him not to worry so much about saving money. Dump him? He's honestly a great guy. At the same time, it seems silly that our lives are so limited when both of us have okay income. I'm not sure what to do here. Or maybe I should just be happy he's a good guy? OP, your boyfriend is 41. At this point, I think he's pretty set in his ways. If he's this obsessed about sailing, then I think this is just going to be part of his life forever. So accept it or dump him. $3K a month is kinda crazy. Normally I'd be more critical of it, but honestly it sounds like the guy has his life together. He knows what he wants to make his money for and what he wants to spend his money on. He's budgeting successfully, and he's following his dreams, so I can't even really criticize him. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway. I'm a 27-year-old woman, and I'm starting to regret my age gap marriage with my 43-year-old husband. That's a 16-year age gap. Okay, so to start, we met when I was newly turned 22. I didn't realize he was in his late 30s. He honestly looked and acted like he was in his late 20s. When I first met him and he came along and offered security, I jumped on it. I knew that it was weird dating a guy so much older, but I've always had a rebellious mindset. I don't know, I thought it was kinda hot. I blame Lana Del Rey and people in my life for not telling me it was a questionable relationship. We married when I was 25, and everything's been pretty alright on paper, so I feel bad complaining. We're both on the same page with a lot of things. We live a pretty comfy life as a double income, no kids couple, and we're building a solid foundation together. We show affection to each other, though sometimes it feels like he's just a roommate or a parental figure. Our love life is boring, and that's also a big part of it. I know if I divorced him, we'd both be back to where we started financially, and I couldn't really afford to live where I am or how I do now. I also don't want to go through the hassle of dating again. Anyways, even though I'd say our marriage is like 80% good and I feel a deep love for him, I also realize now that my frontal lobe is fully developed, and I'm growing out of this container of him making all the decisions. I probably wouldn't choose him as a partner if I had met him now. Really, the core of it all is that I'm carrying this resentful/ick feeling that he pursued me when I was so young. So what if I was mature for my age? I couldn't even imagine dating a 22-year-old now, and I'm only 27. Reading this title, I kind of figured this post would be about the age gap, but it doesn't really seem to be the case at all. It seems like you just are kind of falling out of love because you changed and he didn't, so you don't view the relationship the same way. And it sounds like your main reason to not get divorced is, divorce is such a pain in the butt. Ooh, I like this post here from Deleted. They say, "You're selling your whole life for comfy slippers." No kidding, man. Our next Reddit post is from Deleted. I'm a 48-year-old woman, and my husband is 49. We've been married for almost 30 years. I was not a virgin when we met, and this has always bothered him. He feels like it isn't fair that I got to experience things and figure out what I liked, and he did not. He had a girlfriend when we met, but he was a virgin. He gets incredibly mad at me when I say no to simple things like watching adult videos with him. He treats me like I'll do anything with anyone except for him. We have a relatively active love life. 4 times a week is typical for us. Every now and then, we might go a week without doing it if I'm on my period, or if we're upset with each other. It isn't just plain vanilla stuff either. We get pretty into it. I love him and I love his body and everything he does. Last night, he told me he isn't happy and he wants to go explore for himself. He can't stop thinking about what I may have done with other guys nearly 30 years ago. I don't want this. It's dangerous in my mind. I don't want to risk him getting someone else pregnant. I don't want to risk continuing to invest in this relationship while he finds someone else to give his attention and love. I don't want to lose what we have. I don't know if I can continue loving someone that doesn't love me enough to work on us. I'll be fine financially. I make $250K per year. He'll be fine. He makes over $100K. We were married when we were very young, and everything we built together will have to get liquefied or divided in divorce. We have 4 kids. Only one of them is not yet an adult. I fear that he'll end up regretting this, and the pain he wants to put us through will not be worth it in the end. I don't know what to do. I can tell you what to do. Go to Reddit, type in husband wants an open relationship, or wife wants an open relationship, or we opened our relationship, and read story after story after story of people regretting it. I don't want to trash too much on the poly couples out there. I know some people make it work, but by and large, it doesn't. I think the husband is in for a rude awakening because I don't think the dating love life for 49-year-old guys is great out there. That was rSlash-relationships, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.